What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Q from Quinn's Comic Stash, coming at you hopefully with my new weekly show. This is going to be called Last Week's Comics Tonight. So it's been a week. I got last week's books. I've had a chance to read and review them. So I'm just going to share with you guys what I picked up last week, what I think of the titles, what I think of the covers, what's going on in the stories. So spoiler alert, this is nearly a week after these books have came out, so it's going to be a review of what I think is going on in the stories and the directions that they're going and things like that. All right, so without any further ado, let's get to last week's books tonight. Thanks for joining us, guys. First up, we got Wolverine, number 14. Got the Peach Momoka variant here. She did a ton of variants for us this month, and they're all pretty sick. I picked up quite a few of them. Loving this book. Benjamin Percy and Adam Kubert. All that Adam Kubert goodness on Wolverine just sucks me right in, man. He draws Wolverine better than most. And this was an interesting story. It kind of wraps up a bunch of some of the Hellfire Gala stuff with the Marauder. Ended up just showing up in a Madripoor port of call, and it's all burnt up, and everybody's gone. It's all desolate and deserted, and Wolverine's investigating, trying to find out what happened there. Interesting new characters. Character called Blackmore shows up in this. He's kind of like a pirate fellow. He reminds me a lot of the bad guy from Frank Miller's Dark Knight series. Pretty creepy looking. He's got these razor teeth, real gnarly grill. But the story was cool. Loving this book. It's just classic Wolverine. Love Wolverine when he's in Madripoor, all the shenanigans that he gets into there. I just love that fictional place that they've created for him, and always happy to see him in story arcs that are there. So gonna keep reading that one. Next up, we got that Texas Blood, number 8. This is indie from Image. This is the second story arc in Texas Blood. It's about a small town sheriff in a county in Texas, and things that he's had to do through the years kind of keep coming back. He's been sheriff of this town for quite a while, and now he's aged quite a bit. And so he kind of sees this reoccurrence of darkness that permeates through the town. There's always trouble there, and it's just this tiny little town. There's always this mayhem and destruction and death, and he's starting to think it has something to do with the soil in the town itself, as he says. And it's pretty cool. Bunch of kids are missing now, so he's kind of investigating that. The story's fantastic, though. It's very well written by Chris Candon and illustrated by Jacob Phillips. And I can't speak highly enough about this book. If you love crime books, stuff like that, definitely check it out. It's very high up on my pull list. Always super excited to check it out. Speaking about indie books from Image, one of the best out right now, Department of Truth. James Tynion killed it with this book. And he kills it with every book. But this story was primarily a letter written by a gentleman. Most of the pages in this book it's just dialogue. It's just text. And it's just a letter that this gentleman who was obsessed with finding Bigfoot wrote a letter to his son, kind of telling him that he's sorry for being so obsessed with this with finding Bigfoot. And well, what happened, his father had stumbled across Bigfoot, and he was with them when he was young, the tracks, the smell, and his father became obsessed and ultimately ended up taking his life because of the weight of knowing this thing was out there, and everybody just crapping on him, telling him he's full of crap and things like that, and eventually takes his own life. And well, now he's raised a family. He's lost his wife because of his obsession with Bigfoot. His kids are estranged from him, and he's just writing this letter. And I tell you what, this last issue number 10, and now issue 11 here, the letter that he's writing to his kid is some of the best writing that you can. It just feels so real when you're reading it. It feels like this guy's experienced this obsession with Bigfoot, and he's asking his kid for forgiveness, but he's pouring his heart out in this letter, telling him what's going on and things like that. And it's so well written, and just shows why James Tynion is just a master of this medium, man. He's fantastic, and anything he's writing, you guys should be reading. So, Department of Truth number 11. Next up, we got Amazing Fantasy #1. This was a very cool book. Carrie Andrews writes and illustrates the entire thing. That's Carrie Andrews on the cover there as well. This is my pick for cover of the week. Let me look at that. If that's just not a straight up old school Frank Frazetta fantasy magazine cover, I don't know what is, man. That cover is just beautiful. And it's really cool. It just starts out, Cap is this World War II Cap, and he's on this ship doing reconnaissance with the Alliance. And the next thing you know, the ship gets attacked. They think by Nazis, but he gets swallowed up by this behemoth here. And then next thing you know, he just wakes up on this sandy beach with this giant masticore lion with wings, that comes and actually ends up becoming like a friend to him. And then not only do we get Cap shows up in it, but also we get Spidey. So Spidey's in the middle of an early battle with the Green Goblin. He gets clipped by a pumpkin bomb and wakes up being stewed in a pot here. If you could see him lifting the pot off Spidey's head by this group of what you think are mutants, and then actually end up being people that are just wearing these masks. And the big spoiler is, well, this whole group of people that are holding Spidey captive are all led by his dear old Uncle Ben. So that was quite the cliffhanger there at the end. So I'm definitely gonna be tuning in for the rest of this series. I always love it when a creator is writing and illustrating their own title. I just think that takes so much talent, so much time, and I always love to support those folks that are doing that. So I'm definitely going to keep reading Amazing Fantasy. It was definitely a fun book. Next up on the Marvel bandwagon, we got Daredevil 32, another Peach Momoka variant. Again, these variants are gorgeous. Daredevil, just right now, it's fantastic. You've got Daredevil, you've got Elektra, you've got Typhoid Mary, you've got Kingpin, and you've got Bullseye. All of them are in this issue. If you're a Daredevil fan, you can't ask for anything more. I'll be glad when Daredevil gets out of jail, but they got a cool storyline going with him kind of spying on the warden and seeing what kind of crooked stuff's going on in the jail, along with Elektra getting to have another battle with Bullseye, who doesn't love tuning in for that. If you're a Daredevil fan, then it's must-read stuff. Next up, Black Knight, Curse of the Ebony Blade. This is issue 5. This is the end to this 5-issue miniseries. Pretty big reveal in this one. Mordred is trying to gather up all of the ebony artifacts, ebony helm, ebony blade, and anything ebony, and he's trying to have all these artifacts and have all this power. And well, it shows up that he did not trace the Whitman line back far enough, because there's someone else that could inherit the power of the ebony artifacts, and goes to show that Dane Whitman has a daughter that no one knew about. So now he's got a daughter. They defeat Mordred, take all the ebony artifacts, and now there's 2 Black Knights. So that's going to be interesting to see. One bit of thing I want to point out here. I got to say something about this. Does this happen to any of you guys? I said, look at those smudges there. Do you see that? That's just from me holding my comic and reading it. Is this happening to you guys when y'all are reading any of your books? I think it's pretty ridiculous that Marvel can't give us good enough ink that we can't even hold the book long enough to read it without just ruining the book. I think that's just horrible, and they really need to do something about their ink quality and their print quality, because that's just unacceptable, man. I've never held a book from the 90s, early 2000s or previous and have the ink come off on the hands and just ruin the back of the book. I mean, look at that. That's trash, man. Marvel's got to step their game up. That's just not okay on any level, if you ask me. Next up, a little DC action here. This is the issue of Robin #4. This book is fantastic, man. Anybody not reading Robin, need to get on it right now. It's actually my favorite DC book. And that's even with Nice House and Nightwing included in that reading list too, man. Robin right now is just a ton of fun to me. This is the Ravager cover. This is a nice cardstock cover. I haven't had any issues with this ink coming off, thank God. But beautiful cover here. Ra's al Ghul shows up in this, so it's pretty cool. Gets to train his grandson for a little bit, Damien, and just enjoying this book a lot. It's cool. I always love tournaments to the death. I'm an old school blood sport kickboxer fan, so tournaments to the death. Just sign me up for it. Next up, we got You Promised Me Darkness, cover A and cover B I picked up. This is a very interesting book. It's crazy. This is put out by Behemoth, is the publisher. It's written by Damian Connolly and drawn by Annabella Mazzafari. And this is a dark, dark book. It says, You Promised Me Darkness, and they deliver every time. To say I completely understand what's going on in every issue would be a stretch. I mean, I read them and then reread them, and I got a pretty decent grasp of what's going on, but you always are kind of left scratching your head. There's like this wonderfully hilarious narrator going through it. All of these folks get their powers whenever a comet passes. So whenever a comet passes the Earth, it either heightens these folks that already have powers that are practically immortal, that have been living on the planet, or a new one is born, and they never know what the powers are going to be. It can be any power you can wrap your head around, but now there's a group of Satanists that have gotten powers from a comet, and they're trying to take over. And then there's a group of, call them heroes. I don't really think that they're heroes because they're usually in bondage, and it's wild. It is a crazy, crazy book, but I can't seem to get enough of it. I'm even picking up both covers for it anymore. I mean, I love the negative space art that's done here, and Mazzafari, she knocks it out, man. It's gorgeously drawn and very intriguing. So it's keeping me along for the ride. I'm gonna keep picking it up. And last but not least, Better Ray Bill number 5. This is the finale for this. This is the best book Marvel's been putting out. Issues 1 through 3 were absolutely fantastic. This is again written and drawn by Daniel Johnson, so he's doing the art and the story all himself. Again, just killing it with this. I haven't read number 4 yet, so I can't really say much about number 5. I thought I was missing number 3, ended up being number 4 I was missing. As you guys know, I just got moved out of state, so my books have been a little screwed up for the last month, but I'm gonna go pick up number 4 sometime this week and read 4 and 5. I'll give my synopsis on that probably next week, on the finishing up of that title. But that's what I got. That's what I picked up for the week. That was all my reading. Read through everything. All caught up on my reading for a change. It's great. But that's last week's Comics Tonight, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if if you dig the type of show that I'm trying to put together here. And I should be back next Monday. That's the plan. I want to start making sure you guys get a video every Monday. Last week's Comics Tonight. Also, Quinn's Comic Stash. Anybody out there that's watching this, if you're into Magic the Gathering, I've got my store set up on TCG Player. So you can go to tcgplayer.com, search for sellers as Quinn's Comic Stash to help me build this thing. I've got a handful of listings. There's going to be many, 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 many more listings coming soon. I'm just getting that thing off the ground and going. But check me out, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Thanks for all the love and support, everybody. Good catching up with y'all. Hit me up in the comments down below. Take care. Bye.